Hi, welcome to the Nerds and Nonsense podcast. I'm Qamar with my crew here, Adam and Randy. Today we're going to talk about what we're watching on streaming.
Cool. So I guess I'll start us off. I guess the biggest thing, my favorite thing that I'm watching right now is Better Call Saul. So if you're not caught up, it's on season 6 right now. It's at the mid-season finale. For my money, it's the best show on TV. Definitely the best show since Breaking Bad. Obviously, it's tied to Breaking Bad. It's a prequel if you don't know. So it follows Saul, who's a lawyer on Breaking Bad, and how he kind of became someone that you could essentially pay off and get anything done that you wanted. Just kind of a dirty lawyer, and just how he went from trying to be a lawyer and a good guy to essentially Breaking Bad himself. Instead of dealing drugs, he's taking bribes. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but if you're not watching it, you definitely should be. If you watch Breaking Bad and you have not watched Better Call Saul, you're fucking up. Big time. I mean, honestly, it's like neck and neck with Breaking Bad for me as far as like being, for my money, like the best show of all time. It's like, it's right there. Like a lot of people say, like Michael Jordan and Kobe are kind of mirror images. So it's kind of like that. Like you can pick either one, and you could be right based on your argument. But it's one of the greatest shows of all time, and it's still going on, so jump on the train while it's still running. But yeah, it's on Netflix. The first 5 seasons are on Netflix. Yep. Season 6 is live right now on TV, or if you have AMC Plus, or if you buy it on Amazon Prime, you can get the episodes downloaded as the week goes by. So every Monday it's a new episode. I don't think they resume until like mid-July at this point, so it's the mid-season finale. But it follows, obviously, Saul, and if you watch Breaking Bad, Mike, it has Gus Fring. Yeah, it kind of shows the genesis of where Breaking Bad began and how things started to become this shitstorm. So that's my recommendation, and that's my favorite show right now is Better Call Saul.
To follow up on that, I'm watching it as well with my wife, and yeah, I believe the acting superb. It flows so well that the people they got to play the characters just they know what they're doing. It just like flows naturally with them. Like you think they're the portrayals of the people they play so well. Plot is done really well. Scenarios, just like you just want to keep watching. I'm not as caught up as you are, but I'm season 3, mid-season 3. And it's like you just want to keep watching because it just gets so much better. You kind of want to see what happens next. It's so good, right? And that's why I said, I agree with you. I did watch Breaking Bad as well. I think it's one of the best shows of all time. Just written really well, story really well. I highly recommend it as well.
Yeah, I think the weird thing about the show is like it's a prequel, and then it also has to marry in Breaking Bad. So like. Right. They have a gap to fill, a gap of time, but they also had to kind of create their own little avenue of like quality and how the show's going to be. So it does have like a Breaking Bad feel, but it did hit its own stride, and it has its own brand, so to speak. So it's so damn good. Like
it's surprising for me because it's actually refreshing because there's a huge buzz about Breaking Bad. I never got into it. I'm not one for watching a lot of crime shows in general. But I think hearing about the character transformation that went on in the first one, it sounds like the same thing goes on with this one. I'm surprised it's already at the 6th season. It's been out that long?
Yeah. It's what's crazy too about the show is like Jimmy or Saul, he changes his name to Saul, obviously, as the show goes on.
Okay.
As he starts to kind of become like a worse person, he changes his name to Saul. But he kind of becomes that, like, based on his relationship with his brother. And his brother's just like this straight shooting, clean cut guy, does everything by the book, and all they do is like butt heads.
Mm.
So like you see, as his brother tries to reel him in and make him like a legitimate lawyer, he just keeps pulling away and doing like shit that he shouldn't be doing. And then they just obviously have like a falling out at a certain point, and kind of how that goes down. And like you see all these characters in Saul, and you know they're not in Breaking Bad, and some of them, even in season 6, it hasn't been revealed what happens. So like you're expecting this like bomb to go off of like, all right, did these people die? Did they just say fuck Saul, I'm out of his life? Or like, how does it all go down?
Right.
Excuse me, how does it all go down? So
and he's a mysterious character in Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah,
kind of wonder about what his background is. It's not everything's revealed. So
yeah. And I think to your point, the acting is done so well. Like you honestly, like in my mind, I feel like if I walked up, like, because recently I was asking you guys about legal advice for a different issue, but like you literally, like I feel like I could walk up to Bob Odenkirk and ask him like, hey, so like this scenario in my life, like what do you think? Like you think you can ask for actual advice and like get like, you know, an actual like, oh, this is what you should do. Like they're so good, you actually believe that they could be a lawyer.
Just one question confirmed: is that the same actor who's also the character who plays the new executive in The Boys?
Yes, Giancarlo Esposito. He is in that show as well. Yes.
Okay.
So he's. The reason why I love his character. I love his acting. He's great. He's in Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. He's in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
He's in The Boys. He's in like everything, and the character he plays is just so great.
He's like a Samuel Jackson. People don't talk about
his character. I mean, I think the show is so relatable to people, and that's what people like about it. It's like, of course, the scenarios might not be, you know, happen every day, but I think because people like it because it's like more realistic that it could happen.
Right. It's not a Michael Bay blow shit up.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, like some of the episodes, kind of like in Breaking Bad, they're slower moving.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it so gripping. Is like you can actually see this happening.
Right.
Like how a guy goes from being a teacher to like selling meth.
Yeah.
How a guy goes from like, you know, living his life by the law to breaking the law.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a drama, right?
Yeah, it's a drama, and it's like people. It's just like in touch, like man, that could happen to me, or I know somebody that happened to. So like, man, it really, you know, you really relate to the characters, the storyline. It just makes a lot of sense. And you know, sometimes like I'm not hating on any other shows, but it's not like far reaching out sci-fi or you know, involving you know CGI and all that kind of stuff. You know, nothing against those shows, but that's why this show is so much more relatable than the other shows. So.
Right, and I think it sounds because there's certain certain films like by the Coen brothers, you watch those, and you have these very realistic settings where you can't imagine the amount of horror or scandal that would go on. Say like it was a No Country for Old Men, like it's so subtly done. You feel like wow, anyone could just wind up in a situation like that. Like that accident that I saw like a couple weeks ago on the news could have been that. So I get the impression like that's what the material does for the series, for Breaking Bad as well.
Yes.
Like it took someone in a situation that you would never think that could be, why it turns around. But it was funny because I was talking to my parents about some of the interesting things that have happened with teachers at my schools over the years, and those are the situations where you're like, well, yeah, this is where life can get really real, and before we even know it. So
Cool. What shows do you guys have?
So this is kind of like out of left field, but I've been watching in between some other shows like the old school Unsolved Mysteries show, the one that used to be hosted by Robert Stack with the creepy theme music.
Yeah.
I watched that show when I was a kid when my mom had it on, and we watched it. This theme music scared the crap out of me. I mean, it freaked me out to this day. It's on YouTube, by the way. All the episodes are on YouTube, which is great. So I kind of watch it in between, work. Don't tell my work, but that's good. It's like guilty pleasure kind of thing. And watch it again, see what it was like. It's kind of like I know they do have the new season on Netflix, but let's watch the old one with the host again. It's kind of brings back a lot of old memories. It's just like something that you watched back then and you kind of watch again. It hasn't really aged as well, but just kind of watching it. the narration is great. The music still freaks me out every time I watch it. I get
Yeah.
still scared.
His voice is like, I don't know, his voice with with the music as well. Is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just eerie too. It's
Yeah.
like you don't want to watch it, but at the same time you do because it kind of lures you in. I mean, after I watch it, man, it's kind of scary, but I can't stop watching it because I just so hooked into it.
Yeah, and he has like the best film noir mystery voice.
Yeah, and he had like the perfect voice for it, So I mean,
It's
like, original Unsolved Mysteries on YouTube, all the episodes if you guys want to watch it.
there's one episode that sticks out to me, like it still does. Not so much today, but like with regular TVs where like you turn it off and it kind of has that crackling, and the TV is still kind of glowing, right?
Yeah.
As you turn it off. So there was one episode where I think a dude was staying in a hotel or motel or something. So he had turned off the TV, and then he sees like faces in the TV, and that one like freaked me the fuck out because like when I was a kid, after I had seen that episode, like we're talking in the early to mid 90s, I would make sure that my room light was on when I turned my TV off.
Yeah.
Like the neon glow wasn't as prevalent if you did that.
Yeah.
So like I would turn my light on, then turn the TV off, wait for it to, the Pepsi crackling sound to go away, and then I could go to sleep without faces appearing.
It's
Goodness.
when I turned off the show, I walked down the hallway very slowly because you're still paranoid about it. I know it's like it happened in a different location, somewhere else, and it was on TV years ago, but you still get that nervous feeling. You want to check if your doors are locked, all that kind of stuff. It just makes me paranoid to this day too. Like, man, that happened, and it's crazy.
It's making me think about the memories of like watching like I think USA Network would always have really weird things that would come on late at night.
Yeah.
It was Channel 2, I guess, here in San Diego, or just like Knight Rider and even like shows like Silk Stockings.
I was
I
on after wrestling, so
yeah,
and parents don't tell us not to watch that. And I'm like, whoa, what is that? So,
goodness.
But that was like a guilty pleasure. But the show I'm watching now, gotta be The Boys.
Oh yeah,
Love that show. First 3 episodes are out on Amazon Prime. I've watched 2.5, almost to the end. If you guys don't know what it's about, it's pretty much like a group of like, rogue guys that are set out to take out soups that are pretty much controlled by the government. They don't like it, what's going on and everything, and the soups are pretty much run superheroes. Yeah, but they're corporate superheroes run, and then they have an image to maintain. Kind of like you have to have statistics and stuff like that, and people have to love them and all that kind of stuff, and
popularity ratings.
And they're worried about them going rogue, of course, and but it has sex, gore, blood, everything like that. Then the story is also great too. It's just not like senseless killing and all that stuff to it. It's good character development and everything like that. If you really like that, get into that show for sure. The Boys, so.
I get a kick out of that one too, and I think there's a similar one is Invincible that's an animation, but I think The Boys really kicked it off when it was a comic book. Back, I can't remember if it was Grant Morrison or Warren Ellis who wrote it for DC Vertigo imprint, and it was everything in that imprint was just like over the top. And I think I want to say along with The Boys that was out under that imprint, you also had Sandman by Neil Gaiman, Death, The Time of Your Life. I think that might also be by Neil Gaiman. I can't remember. Then you had Preacher, which is another one, and then 2 like the really famous DC ones that we really like. Watchmen and Constantine, those all came out because you had UK writers making grittier material because the DC writers kind of were censored. They couldn't, have that much fun. So
yeah, I think nowadays like why these shows are so popular because they're not afraid to go explore. You have their cussing, your swearing, your sex, your violence, all stuff that you probably technically won't see on primetime TV. So like. That's why cable is something like dying. Everyone's going to streaming things because you can be edgier there, be more violent, and you could be, you could appeal to a more greater audience, and that's what sells. I believe as well. I'm not saying anything bad about shows on TV, cable TV, but not everyone's going to tell you, oh, have you go seen this show on cable TV? No, I haven't. I've been checking out this other show that's better. So.
Right. You get more creative freedom, and I appreciate that. I think, especially as a creative person myself. Especially in a country where you have the First Amendment right. Like, I think if you are someone who has a concept, you should be able to approach that concept. And if there's nothing in your way to do it, you should be able to do it. And I think the biggest issue in the history of the United States, when you look at like the Red Scare, McCarthyism, you had like corporate, leaders and religious leaders pretty much squashing the First Amendment because they didn't like what people were saying. So like the movie Citizen Kane was like, that was a movie about a huge newspaper guy named William Randolph Hearst who has this huge estate that's up in San Simeon, like around San Jose. And the guy who directed that, Orson Welles, his career was crushed, completely destroyed because the newspaper guy didn't like his take on, his tycoon career. So yeah, The Boys, I enjoy the grittiness. It's too much for a lot of people, but
It is. It can be. It's like wow. But I'm kind of glad they kind of explore that.
Yeah.
That venue. I mean, it's like you need it a little bit. I mean, out of all the streaming network, all the streaming network, I think Amazon Prime might be lacking the most, I guess, when it comes to content. So they probably are allowed. It's like, you guys have a more leverage to do what you need to do.
Yeah. Well, like as far as like what do you like the most about Amazon Prime?
Accessibility. I mean, if you cannot, when it comes to other kinds of stuff, I mean, like when it comes to Amazon Prime content itself, might be lacking. But if there's other stuff that you can't get on other streaming networks, you can purchase it or rent it on Amazon, which just makes it super convenient.
Right.
So that's not all the other streaming networks have like, oh, I might want to go to Netflix to watch this show or movie, but they don't have it on there. But I go to Amazon and rent it instead of going out and buying a DVD or Blu-ray or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it convenient.
I agree.
So, how about you, Qamar? Any shows or movies that you watched that you might recommend?
Well, I guess I'll be a little predictable, but it's because I watched it all and I enjoyed it all. But I finished watching Stranger Things. And Stranger Things is like, it just brings back so many great memories from the 80s. I remember a book that I read when I was in high school called A Natural Talent, which is kind of from this D&D publishing company, I guess, that also had like teen fiction series. And like all the elements that are there, I think it was called Dark Forces was the name of that book series. And it has all the nuances of those things, but kind of wrapped up into this kind of super 80s delivery. Probably like everything pan 80s is integrated into it. And it's a good advancement of the storyline. Like you have there's this sort of like really dismal, dystopian sort of fantastic sort of thing that goes on in Stranger Things. But at each season, like there's something that uplifts it and gives you a possibility that things are going to be better, and it does that again. And it gives even more depth to like what's going on, and it kind of really takes you back to the kind of the 80s horror. There's things in there that makes you think of what's the one with the guy with the pins in his head? Hellraiser.
Mm-hmm.
There's Hellraiser qualities to it. There's definitely like Freddy Krueger qualities to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily get as gory as The Boys.
Yes.
So, but it does have some gore in it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
How many episodes? Is it like 8, 10?
Gosh, I think I just watched like an addict. I can't even count. I think probably 8 to 10. I would say 8 to 10.
So I watched both, The Boys and Stranger Things, but I haven't caught up. So I haven't seen the new season yet.
Me too.
I haven't seen 1 through 3 of the new season of The Boys. Yeah. So there's so much out right now. It's like hard to, whether you finished Ozarks or you watched Outer Range, Josh Brolin on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, my dad likes that one.
Yeah, I finished that one. It was pretty interesting. And then, Better Call Saul's on, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Right,
and then
to that one yet.
Stranger Things and The Boys, and then I watch AEW.
Yeah.
So I had 2 weekly shows. It's like, spinning my wheels trying to catch up. But
Ms. Marvel is coming out as well.
Yeah, Ms. Marvel.
I think next week. So
Disney or
Disney Plus. Yep.
And I caught Moon Knight. I enjoyed it. I think because I like the mythological aspect of, but I feel like there's just so much. Ms. Marvel, like when you mentioned that last time, it dropped off my radar. I saw the preview and I forgot I saw the preview.
It's a good problem to have if you like to watch shows and movies.
Yeah.
It keeps you busy. Right now, it's probably good that it's on streaming things so you can watch it at your own convenience. But if it's coming out, you can watch it at your own time. So it's a good problem to have. So
you just have to be careful. Like if you're watching something that's hot, and it's like the final season or something's happening, don't go online. Someone on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram is going to ruin it for you. So
spoilers.
And for me, I think that there's kind of 2 points, I guess, thinking about that. Like spoilers, I'm the weird guy where no one can really tell it to me, or it can be at the point where I'm like, well, you spoiled it and I can't watch it and you took away my excitement. I think for me, I'm a productions value guy, so I still want to see how do they do the shot, how did they do the sound, how was the actor's performance. Like as long as I have those elements, someone could tell me whatever, and then I'll see it and I'll still be satisfied. But I think one of the issues though with all this stuff is that some services, if you want to make sure you have like a good playlist, you can kind of like make sure you can go back and add those to your favorites. Some services are better than others. I think I enjoy how Netflix has it pretty easy. You press the plus and then it goes to things you want to watch. But then the other ones are kind of funky for navigation. Like I love the quality of Amazon Prime, but their menu is horrible.
It looks too cluttered. I believe it's just that there's so many things in the way. It's like it's just kind of more wording. I don't like
the same thing.
It's kind of like it kind of visuals are real good, like presentation. I kind of like HBO Max. It's not too bad on HBO Max.
Oh.
I mean,
I have a problem with HBO Max, and it's not.
Yeah.
My thing is like I have the most issues with HBO Max, like because I stream it to my TV via my phone, so like it's constantly just shitting the bed and not working correctly. So my wife has like a Hulu package where it's like kind of all inclusive with HBO Max,
cool.
ESPN Plus, all that. So if there's something I want to watch, I've learned now on HBO Max, I will watch it through Hulu.
Yeah.
So like Peacemaker or like whatever, I'll watch it through Hulu. I don't like to use HBO Max, like the app at all. It just for me, I don't know if it's my phone or whatever.
No,
because sometimes it's the service. Like I watch my HBO Max because I have the subscription to AT&T. So
I have that
AT&T.
as well.
It makes it more intuitive. But I still hate the menu for HBO Max. I think so far for me, Netflix is the best menu. It's the closest to like what we once experienced when iTunes came out, and you just go through like all the titles and kind of see what you want. Like to me, Netflix is the best sort of clear, big, bold sort of thing that's done. There's still elements that are way too small, especially for me, like being like an ADA legal person. Like that's all I look at when I'm looking at something. The what they call the 508 accessibility requirements, and they all do a really horrible job. The best one so far to me is Netflix.
I agree with you, Adam, on HBO Max. Sometimes, like, I was watching The Batman again, and it was like, it's buffering still. Like, I'm like, I have good internet. It's the signal's strong. I don't know. Maybe it's just the site, the app itself. But, it's good to have all these applications. Selection to watch and to go follow up on your thing, Qamar, about spoilers. Like, I was watching Game of Thrones when it was still coming out, and I was behind, but people said spoilers already. But I still wanted to watch it and see how it was portrayed out. Though. Yeah. I knew what was going to happen, but I wanted to see why people made such a big fuss about it.
Right.
Because it's like the red wedding. This I want to see why it was a red. Why it's called red. Oh man, when you watch it, holy crap, that's good. But something you kind of experience for yourself. Yes, people are going to be jerks and spoil things for you. Of course, but you can't stop it from happening. Yeah. But you still have to go and watch it for yourself. Right. So that's why me and Adam have watched Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So you need to go watch it. I know you say that you watched like a clip of it of Better Call Breaking Bad, but trust us. Yeah. It's something you just have to experience and watch yourself. We're not saying it just because all the masses it's from personal experience for watching it. I mean, the acting is like it renovated Bryan Cranston's character from Malcolm in the Middle, goofy character, to a serious badass. It's like it's.
I understand, and he's an amazing actor. I think for me, it's just usually like me budgeting my time. Like I will get through the shorter series, kind of like at a pretty good pace, but then like there's some that are like super long, and they have to build for you to get to them. Yeah. And I'm usually bouncing. Like Game of Thrones, I don't think I'll ever get to Game of Thrones.
That is a more slippery slope because there's so many characters, so many things going on, and like it takes a lot of time and patience to memorize all that, and I can understand from that point. But
Breaking Bad, I could probably handle Breaking Bad, or at least Better Call Saul because it's still newish. I could probably get caught up and feel okay. But it's just like when you go to the comic book store and you see, this issue of X-Men, but you've missed like the past 5 crossovers. Sometimes you're just like, I don't know where to start, and I feel that with some of the
Game
series.
of Thrones is mythological, all these stories and families coming in. It can be tend to get confusing, you know. So I can understand that.
And
like,
Marvel does that to people.
Yeah,
I think I meet quite a few people who are just like, yeah, I haven't really watched any of the Marvel movies because I don't know where to start.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
you
a lot,
could look it up online.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they actually give you like a timeline of the movies.
Yeah.
Right.
It makes sense. So you shouldn't watch it based on when it came out. Like, you should watch it in the timeline of the characters development and everything.
Yeah,
like that.
I think when it comes to anime, I probably have more long-term anime that I kind of keep up with. Like One Piece, I'm coming back around to that one because there's seasons I didn't realize that were there. I have a coworker who's been telling me about Attack on Titan, which is a really good one, and I got to the only issue is certain streaming services will have only so many seasons and it'll drop off. So that means you have to figure out where it's being broadcast live, like on Hulu or something,
Crunchyroll,
or wait for it to come out
Yeah.
like in somewhere else. So,
but you know, for us like nerds that like X-Men the animated series, Spider-Man, Disney Plus has all the seasons of that. If you want to watch Batman the animated series or the Justice League or Superman, Batman Beyond, it's on HBO Max.
Yeah, HBO Max there's a lot of surprising things. There's a Catwoman one that I started watching a couple days ago, Catwoman series,
Yeah.
which is kind of like a very kind of Japanese anime style Catwoman.
I recommend Young Justice, which is an animated one. It's a DC. It's a newer version. I haven't seen the newest season, but it's pretty good. It's animated too. It's more grittier too, so it's like, you know, it's pretty good. But I haven't seen the new one. I'll get around to it. I don't think it's something like pressing that I have to watch, but it's on my to-do list. And I heard that Harley Quinn animated series is pretty good.
Pretty good.
That's on HBO Max. It's pretty violent and like it's not gritty. Gritty. Yeah. So, but that's something else to watch. But you know, it's a good problem to have option. You know, because you won't be bored. You know, I watch stuff on YouTube and Twitch as well, so there's like plentiful things to watch. So. You know, you guys have anything else you guys want to bring up? You guys want to wrap it up?
I guess I'm trying to think. What was it? Peacemaker. Well, you hit on Peacemaker. I think that was a really good one. A lot of people haven't mentioned. I think there's a lot of hidden treasures on HBO Max, especially the amount of animation that they have. It's tons of animation.
I watched 1997, the animated Spawn.
Oh yeah, I remember that
not too long ago. I think that one was really good. I mean, I had never seen it, and
really?
I was like, kind of blown away. Like
my parents let me watch it secretly. Like, we're not sure if you should watch it, but you know they let me watch it because they knew I was a comic book guy. Oh yeah, John Leguizamo I think was the voice in that one for the clown.
Yeah, well he played him in the movie too.
Yeah, he played him in the movie.
Oh yeah, for the movie, not the yeah. I think it was a different voice for the cartoon.
Yeah. Right now, last night I finished episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh cool.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, it starts out slow, but it does get really good, and I think everyone at this point knows that Hayden Christensen comes back as Darth Vader. He's in the series, and then Liam Neeson returns as Qui-Gon Jinn, like the spirit version, I'm assuming, but they haven't popped up yet.
Oh.
But this has already been talked about, you know, on online like a lot, so it's not like a spoiler.
Yeah, it's not. You kind of know the story of Obi-Wan. It's already kind of there already. It's not like nothing shocking there, you know. So maybe if the person shows up in the show or not, then people will care. But like, you kind of already know what's going to happen with everything with Star Wars. It's just like here's like a side story that we have. You know, like there one for Boba Fett. I still need to check that one out as well. Not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I will check it out. You know,
just that one is amazing.
Okay.
It really is. So I think, in my opinion, like obviously Marvel's done a lot of stuff with you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, all this stuff, but Star Wars has done it the best.
Oh yeah.
They haven't done as many as Marvel, which I think is to their benefit. They haven't like oversaturated yet.
Yeah.
But you know, Boba Fett, like, yeah, it's the best. It's the best one that's come out yet.
Okay.
Better than Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, if you haven't watched The Mandalorian, you definitely should. But I think Boba Fett is just better, and it starts bringing in the Star Wars universe like into one area. So you start to fill the gaps with information, and you're like,
that's good.
Got it. Like you don't even have to be like a Star Wars nerd to really enjoy it.
That's what I like about a lot of these shows. It's you don't necessarily have to be the biggest nerd to understand it. I mean, with the movies, you kind of have to know a little bit more, but the shows kind of gradually ease you into it. So I was it sucks for a movie like Solo, which probably could have been better as a show. To be
Right,
honest with you, because
right.
I actually didn't mind Solo as a movie, but
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. It stuck to the plot point, but it wasn't like your razzle dazzle lightsabers and TIE fighters and all that stuff. That's why people didn't like it. It's a origin movie, you know. So I
Right.
liked it for what it was. It
Right.
introduced the character and stuff like that, and
Right.
maybe not everyone liked it, but I see it now. It probably would have killed it as a
Yeah.
show.
It
That should-
expanded the universe.
Yes, exactly. So it's like
Yeah.
now they probably look back and we probably should have made it a show. Now they're thinking twice about it because
Right.
should we make this a movie or a show? People will probably pick it up better
Right.
as a show. So.
Right. I think the slower paced material people are finding does better as a show. And then for like the more action sort of crossover sort of big story themes, they're realizing let's make those movies.
Yes, I agree.
I think one of the tricky things, like, my dad, he's a huge science fiction buff. He, grew up in the 50s reading Isaac Asimov and like all those things in his library, like as a kid. And one of the things we always kind of came across when it comes to Star Wars versus, when Gene Roddenberry made Star Trek got into a lot of amazing complexity. And even like sociological sort of things that came up. I think they had like the first interracial kiss that was ever broadcast on TV. And I think one of the things about Star Wars that's always been sort of problematic is that science hold on it. So a lot of people who are really into science fiction are just kind of like, where's the science? And I think Star Trek has done like a really great job at like improving itself. I haven't watched, like I need to catch up on the series, but I grew up with Deep Space Nine. I grew up with, of course, The Next Generation. But I've heard a lot of good things about Discovery and Picard. And I think there's a new series coming out as well.
It's nice to
Or
see
maybe
that come
Saturday.
back as something as well. Not it's not like dormant or dead or anything. Like
Yeah.
They kind of expand on that as well, so that's good.
Because then you also have to get into the whole military aspect of like how the ship systems work, and then you have all these other species that have their systems,
Yeah.
and So I think the only problem is you have to get a subscription to Paramount
Yes.
to keep up
Yes.
with that one.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest issue with all the streaming services now is like, it's some of them are like less than $10, but essentially if you want to watch everything that maybe you want to watch, you're gonna end up paying more than you ever did for cable.
Yeah.
I think you're getting more for your money, but at the same time, like you're overtaxed with the options that you have to the point where, like, I know me, like I'll just kind of revert back to like it's like, oh my God, there's so much shit to watch. I'm just gonna watch like Monday Nitro from 1997 because I don't know I don't have an hour to scroll through the shit that like. What should I watch? It's like, ugh.
I think it's best to pick and choose what you think would have like the best selection. Like Netflix will have all these shows, but also HBO Max and Amazon Prime will have other stuff on there that won't just be exclusive to those networks or to those applications. So see what's best bang for your buck.
Right.
Like sometimes you can live out the other ones, but
Right. But I think it's like that we grew up with the cable television box where you can surf like up to 100 channels, and then we got digital cable and became up to like 100 to 300 channels you'd be surfing, and then now like looking at what you want to watch has become as dismal as surfing the internet.
yes.
You're like, well, where do I go? And sometimes I think I find myself just like turning it off and going to sleep.
So, wrapping up, any closing arguments or comments you guys have?
I guess mine would just be, there's so much out right now. If you haven't watched Better Call Saul, I recommend that. If you haven't watched Ozark, which is kind of the same, Breaking Bad type family, I would recommend that. And then Peacemaker, I would also recommend that.
Come on.
Yeah, Peacemaker's very good. My closing is that if there's ever too much to watch, just turn it off and watch us.
Yeah.
Because there's literally
That's
too
a good
much to
problem
watch.
too, yeah. And if you guys have any suggestions on what to watch, leave them in the comment section below. Make sure to like and subscribe on that on our video. If you guys like what you guys watch, give us a subscribe, and we'll have more movies, videos like this. So thanks for watching, and thanks for nerding out to our nonsense.
Thanks,
Alright.
guys.
Thanks.
Hit that like button.
Hit the like button.
Smash the like button. Thanks.
Keep it nerdy, San Diego.